It's Moppy time.
Hey guys, welcome to a new series, episode 1, starting a new series again. It seems like every video I do is a new series, to be honest, and I couldn't be happier with that. I think a diverse set of videos is the way to go. It's not how your channel grows according to the algorithms, but really, I mean, who needs growth, am I right? That's for trees and stuff. Real men don't grow, that's what I always said, and it's words to live by, truly. So this new series is the game Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, frequently known as T.A.B.S, has recently come out of early access into full release. I say full release, they are still updating it and have a lot of stuff that they plan to add, but it's out of early access. And I thought it would be interesting to do a head-to-head championship of all the units, but not a 1v1, because that's clearly unfair. A caveman clubber is only worth 60 points. There's no way he's going to be even a match for Zeus, who's 2,000 points. It seems only fair to use equal amounts of points worth, but only of one kind of unit. So if a clubber who's 60 points is up against a unit that was 120 points, you would get 2 clubbers against that to try and equal it out. And by the end of this series, hopefully, I will know, and you will also know vicariously through watching these videos, which unit is the best in a weird kind of niche way. And some units are obviously disadvantaged, like the Bard, because he doesn't do any damage, but that's not to say he's the worst unit in the game, because he's actually really useful in some circumstances, and we're just gonna see how it rolls, to be honest. The clubber is weighing in, like I said, at 60 points. He's the first unit you get to use in the game. Really simple. He's this caveman guy. He's got a club, and he hits people with it. Basically as simple as that. Out of his 36 matches, he has 11 losses but 25 wins, giving him a 69.4% win rate, which isn't bad at all. It's pretty good, in fact. We'll have to wait and see how the other units in the game stack up in comparison to the humble clubber in future episodes. So, because of the nature of the game, even if you run the exact same simulation multiple times, you won't always get the same result. So these results are based on a best of 5 match between the 2 units. So, first up, the clubber coming in against himself. I mean, it's null and void, it doesn't matter, he always wins. Forget that one. Second up, coming in against the protector, the caveman shield bearer equivalent, with his wooden shield with a little window on it. And surprisingly enough, he actually loses. You would think he would win, but no, the protectors just somehow beat him, and it doesn't really make sense to me. Now, up against the spear thrower next, and he wins this one. The spear throwers just can't get enough shots off before the clubbers reach them, and they suck in melee. And with the stoner, who is the next unit, it's basically the same outcome, same thing happens. But the bone mage specialises in taking down these large groups of kind of shitty units, and so bone mage is the second loss for our clubber friend. The Chieftain as well also beats out the clubber. He just does. I was going to come up with some fancy way of saying how he does it. I don't know, he just kills them all. He's just too good for them. Mammoths, though. Now, this one did surprise me. The clubbers actually beat the mammoths. I can't believe it. Because you would think the mammoths they have such a potential for dealing with high amounts of shitty infantry, because they just have these huge AoE stomps and stuff, but no. There's just too many clubbers and they can't deal with it. Halflings, clubber beats the halfling. This one was up in the air for me. They're both the same cost. Halfling gets a little jump in there at the beginning, but it's just not good enough. The clubber just beats him. Next up, he's up against the farmer. And let me let you guys into a little secret. The farmer is my all-time favourite unit in the game. And so I was very pleased to see that the farmer beats the clubber. The pitchfork is mightier than the stick, as I always say. pitch versus stick, that pitch is gonna stick it to the stick, if you know what I mean. Next up, the hay balers, one of my low-key worst units in the game. I think they are utterly shit. I don't understand the application. Supposedly they should be good against ranged guys, but in my playthrough of the game they didn't seem to ever pull through. However, against all odds, the hay baler actually wins in this encounter. You know what? Screw you, hay baler. I think you're going to lose overall. I hope you do, because frankly you suck. Right, next up, the potion seller. Kind of a weird unit in the game. Another one I didn't quite see what the point of them were. They throw these little potions that kind of explode in an AoE and confuse your enemy and do a tiny amount of damage. But the big issue is that they just hit your own guys if you have melee dudes. But in this, they do not have any melee dudes on their side because it's a one-on-one type scenario. But the potion seller still loses, so that's pointless anyway. Next up, the harvester. The first, or well, I guess the second kind of big boy you unlock after the chieftain. And harvester, I generally think they're a pretty good unit, and they should be good in this scenario against large horde of clubbers because they have that nice cleaving swing. And yeah, it appears like that cleave does pull through for them. They beat the clubbers. Next up, the wheelbarrow. A really overpriced and rubbish unit, surprising nobody that it loses in this, to be honest. Scarecrow up next, and again he just loses. He needs a force of just like tar pit guys in front of him just to slow down your enemy, so that the birds can do enough work and he can summon enough of them. Next up, the bard. Like I said, he will lose every match because he does nothing. Next up after that is Squires, and they lose. I thought maybe they would win. They should be a superior unit. They cost like 40 points more, and they're a similar idea, just one has a sword instead of a club. But I guess numbers win out in the end, and the clubbers win again. Much the same result with the archers. It's like a recall of the spear thrower stoner events, you know? They just can't get enough shots off, they're not accurate enough maybe. I don't know what the reasoning, but they just can't kill those clubbers before the clubbers get to them. And the priest, exactly the same as the bard. He will literally lose every round, except against the bard, which I didn't consider. And now I'm really worried for when that comes up. But there's many episodes in the future. That's like 16 episodes from now. Right, next up, the knight. I'll be honest, I thought the clubbers would win this one, because they just seem to be... There's just too many of them. I thought there's no way the knights can handle this. But the knights do have that all-powerful shield charge bash at the beginning of combat, and I think that was just enough to allow them to win against the club. The clubbers' sixth loss, yeah, that's right, is against the knights. Catapults. I thought the catapults would do pretty well because the rocks are good at taking out large groups of enemies, but the reload speed is a real killer. The cavemen just get to them and kill them before they have a chance to fire enough volleys, and sometimes they kill themselves, so not so great. Alright, next up the king. After I saw the knight's success, I assumed the king would win, and he does. The clubbers lose again. Their 8th loss. Wow. Next up, the Sarissa, which during the making of this video had a cost change, so I had to re-simulate this. Not that it matters, because the Sarissa lost both times. Even though I thought they would win, I thought the reach of the spear, they could just get some little pokes in, get some jabs in there before the clubbers were even in range and kill them, but they can't. So, goodbye Sarissa, you lost this round. Next up, the shield bearer. I assumed after the clubbers lost to the protectors, they would also lose to the shield bearers, but I was proven wrong. Shield bearer loses out in this scenario. Next up, hoplites. I would say the best medium cost infantry in the game, but in this scenario, they actually lost to the clubbers. Then we have snake archers. Not the best archers in my opinion. That goes to ice archers. And the snake archers actually lose here. The snakes just weren't enough. Sorry guys, go back to archery school or snake charming school or wherever wherever you train, to be honest. I'm a bit confused as to how your logistics work. But after that is the Ballista, which, unlike the catapult, is not so good for those large hordes of enemy, and the ballistas do fall to the barbarian hordes. Next up, Minotaurs. I would say the worst expensive big boy unit in the game. They just kind of seem rubbish, and they did lose here, so sorry about that. Didn't even need a ball of yarn to beat this bad boy. Nice. Pat on the back, Luke, for that one. Oh, thanks. Thanks. Right, next up is Zeus. He should be... I feel like he should win. He's got that bouncing lightning. Those barbarians are just... They won't even know what hit them. But it looks like lightning really doesn't strike twice, because otherwise Zeus could have just struck these dudes twice and killed them, instead of them just wrecking him once again. Now we're on to the Vikings. Headbutters. I thought they would lose. I don't know why. I just had a feeling, and I was correct in that. The headbutters do lose. They just fall flat on their face. They just suck. Don't use headbutters, people. Next up, ice archers. I love ice archers. I got through so many levels of the campaign by just spamming ice archers, but in this scenario, they're just not good enough. They need just that wall of chod in front of them to soak up the enemies long enough for them to get frozen and stuff, and they just don't have that in this one-on-one scenario. Next up is the Brawler. I don't think the Brawlers are that good. I think Hoplites are better, and it looks like I'm completely wrong, because the Brawlers won here where the Hoplites did not, so whatever. Then we have Berserkers. Berserkers are such a loose cannon. I think they're supposed to be, and so I have no idea who would win. And the Clubbers did again, so good work, Clubbers. Valkyries up next. I think they're very overpriced. I think they're very shit, and it looks like I was proven correct in this assumption, because the Clubbers pulled through with ease. Then we have the Jarl. After the success of the Knight and the King, you'd be a fool to think the Jarl wouldn't win. But for reasons beyond my comprehension, the Jarl does actually lose to the Clubbers, even though the other two similar units in the game both won. So, who knows at this point. And finally, last unit in the current version of the game, and so the last unit in our championship, is the Longship. Kind of a weird unit, very overpriced again, but it is good at taking out hordes of shitty guys, which is exactly what the Clubbers are bringing to the table, and the Longships win, beating out the Clubbers in their final fight. What a shame. What a shame. But they did all right, and I look forward to the next episode, where we get to see how the Protectors are going to match up against their foes, and see which out of the Clubbers and Protectors have the highest win rate so far. I don't know. I really don't know which way it's going to go. So, stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time. I was just thinking if this is going to be the outro or not. Yeah, why not? I don't need a proper outro, it's just this. Alright, yeah. Sayonara, suckers. Woohoo! Oh, actually, I need to go stop the recording.